There is no doubt in my mind that we are going to work our butts off, everybody in this room included, to win in 2020 right here in New Hampshire, right?
Lara Trump, President Trump's daughter-in-law and senior campaign advisor, speaking to 500 Republican supporters at a fundraiser in Nashua tonight. She spoke about the successful 2016 campaign and the Mueller investigation that followed after she said Democrats couldn't believe Trump won.
They decided there's no way that this could have happened. We know what happened. Russia. That's what happened. All right, let me tell you guys something. First of all, who is happy to finally have this Mueller report out and over with?
She also spoke about future debates between Democratic candidates.
My advice is, again, have a party, get some popcorn. Let's watch these Democrats debate each other. The socialists, should we just call them that? The socialists debate each other.
Governor Chris Sununu attended tonight's event but says Republicans will need a broader strategy to keep the White House.
If you think we are going to win by saying that they're socialists and we're not, that's not enough. If it's not about them being socialists, it's about us being for New Hampshire. And that is the winning message in 2020.
Republican leaders estimate that they've raised around $70,000 tonight. In Nashua, Jessica Moran, WMUR News 9.
All right, Jess, thank you. Bernie Sanders has a big fundraising lead tonight among the Democrats running for president. The Vermont senator says his campaign has raised more than $18 million since launching his bid. That compares to $12 million for California Senator Kamala Harris and $7 million for South Bend, Indiana Mayor Pete Buttigieg. There are still some of the first disclosures to be released ahead of the April 15th deadline for all campaigns.
We are just days away from a first-of-its-kind event in New Hampshire that will welcome hundreds of students this Friday. In tonight's Project Community, a look ahead to Youth Summit 2019. As WMUR's Jean Mackin shows us, it's designed by students, for students, to help tackle today's challenges.
More than 400 high school age students from across New Hampshire have signed up to gather right here in the state capitol starting Friday. We talked to a few of them about what to expect when the doors open.
And sometimes kids want to hear it from kids and not so much the adults.
And that's why these students will be at Youth Summit 2019 along with hundreds of their peers. On day one, they will talk openly and honestly about challenges teenagers face.
Bringing all these issues together and being able to address them, all these teen issues like bullying, anxiety, mental illness, drug abuse, things like that are kind of taboo.
We all kind of relate with each other, and it's a lot easier to talk about these issues or topics that a lot of people don't want to bring up, but talking to a friend or a peer is a lot easier.
Day 2 of Youth Summit 2019, hosted by Dartmouth Hitchcock Health, is for the adults. Parents, educators, lawmakers, and community leaders are invited to hear what students have to say. Headliners at the summit include Olympic gold medal skier Hannah Carney and Jim Wahlberg, executive director of the Mark Wahlberg Youth Foundation. But the real stars are the teenagers.
Having an open discussion and seeing what other teens think and having a true discussion with no fear of anyone judging.
The goal is for teens and adults to carry an open conversation back to their communities with real solutions. In Concord, Jean Mackin, WMUR News 9.
Well, there's another fire at a Texas chemical plant, this one deadly.
Coming up on News 9, new information on what caused the fire and the concerns that remain tonight.
And it's one of our favorite times of the year. The Peregrine Falcons are back in downtown Manchester.
But first, let's go to Mike Haddad with your wake-up weather.
Hey, they may see a little bit of rain mixed in with a few wet snowflakes early tomorrow morning. In western parts of the state, around 7:30, 8 o'clock, it should be dry. But in central and eastern zones, some wet snowflakes are a possibility. Low 30s north, low to mid 30s in southern New Hampshire. When will that shut down and strong winds take over? That timeline coming up.
Oh, right now, a fire at a chemical plant in Texas has been contained and evacuation orders are lifted.
But the fire did leave one person dead and 2 others hurt. As WMUR's Mary Maloney reports, this is the second time in less than a month a facility near Houston has caught fire.
Thick black plumes of smoke filled the sky as a deadly fire burns a chemical plant below. 3 weeks ago, firefighters worked to put out a chemical fire in Deer Park, Texas. Now, some of the same crews battle flames about 25 miles away at the Chemco plant in Crosby.
It is problematic that we're seeing this incident in a facility, especially on the heels of ITC.
Investigators believe the fire started with a chemical transfer line and spread to a warehouse.
The fire initially ignited with isobutylene. It was then further fueled by ethanol and ethyl acrylate.
Isobutylene is colorless, odorless, and highly flammable. The EPA says despite the smoke, no hazardous chemicals have been detected in the air. The fire forced people within a mile to shelter in place and surrounding schools to lock down. About 7 hours after the fire started, the lockdowns lifted and the fire was extinguished.
We want to apologize for the inconvenience to residents in the vicinity.
But concerns about hotspots igniting other combustible chemicals remain. Mary Maloney, WMUR News 9.
Well, after promising to make Republicans the party of healthcare, President Trump now says don't expect a Republican bill to replace the Affordable Care Act until after the 2020 election. It comes as the fight to repeal Obamacare moves through the courts. Democrats, including New Hampshire Senator Jeanne Shaheen, say if the ACA is overturned, it would hurt millions of Americans.
There are a lot of reasons why we should work together to fix our healthcare system. More than 20 million reasons, and they live in Republican and Democratic districts throughout the country. And it's their health care that's at stake.
No, I wanted to delay it myself. I want to put it after the election because we don't have the House. So even though the health care is good, really good, it's much better than when the plan comes out, which we'll be showing you at the appropriate time. It's much better than Obamacare.
Well, the president says Republicans are working on a plan that would be cheaper than Obamacare, but says he won't give details yet.
Well, tonight a woman from China is accused of illegally entering Mar-a-Lago while the president was visiting the estate. Federal agents say that she lied to get in, telling guards that she was there to go to the pool. Prosecutors say she was able to talk her way past several security checkpoints. When she was arrested, the woman was carrying 3 cell phones, a laptop, and a thumb drive containing malware.
Well, this year's Baby Peregrine Falcon Watch is underway in downtown Manchester. And once again, take a look at this. There's a live stream of their nest at the Brady Sullivan Tower on Elm Street. We saw 3 eggs in this nest earlier tonight. Well, the falcons have been hatching inside a replica of a cliff dwelling built atop the tower since 2003. At one point, the birds disappeared from the state. They have returned, but are still considered endangered.
Now, Chief Meteorologist Mike Haddad with your Storm Watch 9 forecast.
Overall, not a bad April the 2nd. Much better than what we had yesterday with those strong winds and quite a late winter chill hanging around. Today, at least we made it run over 50 degrees. And believe it or not, tomorrow, we're going to be even a little bit warmer. But in between, a very minor glancing blow from a powerful storm off to our south and east will barely brush parts of the Granite State. Right now in Portsmouth, temperature sitting in the upper 30s. Will fall back down a few more degrees, but should remain at or above the freezing mark, and that's key for traveling overnight tonight. Even if we do get a mix of rain and wet snow, I do anticipate the roads to be just primarily wet as we go through the overnight into the early part of the Wednesday morning commute. Temperatures well above freezing right now, but notice Mount Washington sitting at 14. If this storm were to back in about 50 miles closer, we'd be talking about an intense period of wet snow, but it looks to be just off to our east this time around. Temperatures overnight tonight, 20s north, lower half of the 30s south, and it should remain dry at least for the next 2, maybe 3 hours. Shortly after about 1 or 2 a.m., again, the very northern edge of quite an impressive storm will barely brush southeastern parts of the state. We're talking about a little bit of rain and a bit of wet snow mixing in during that time. So here we go with the timeline again. From around 2, 3, 4 a.m., you'll notice very light precipitation. You know it's light because the heavier elements on the radar indicate the heavier downpours, and they're well offshore. They never really make it in, so accumulations of even if we do get all wet snow would be generally an inch or less, and mainly confined to grassy surfaces. So tomorrow morning's commute, there will be a little bit of light rain. There could be some wet snowflakes mixed in, so it could look wintry in many spots from the White Mountains, points south and east. Very little, if any, in the western part of the state through about 7 a.m. And notice by 9 or 10 a.m., skies already clearing. The winds begin to freshen, but not until early to mid-afternoon, and temperatures will start to jump in a big way. A couple of scattered showers build in up north during the late part of the day, changing over to snow showers tomorrow night. So basically, the accumulation of snow may be confined to the White Mountains and the Great North Woods out of this particular storm during tomorrow night as cold air builds in. Speaking of that colder air, it'll be accompanied and driven in by very strong winds out of the west-northwest. By early to mid-afternoon, they start to crank up to about 30, maybe 35 miles per hour. By late afternoon through about midnight, 1 a.m. tomorrow night, 20 to as much as 45 mile per hour winds. Notice this one computer model indicating a 43 mile per hour gust right around midnight tomorrow night. So anytime we get gusts over 35 to 40, we could see a few scattered power outages. Then the winds abate a little bit during the pre-dawn hours, but then crank up again for a windy and chilly Thursday. 30s north and 40 south, still quite cool on Friday. Sun does give way to clouds. Could be a light mix of snow and rain north, light rain far south Friday night. Most of it clears for the weekend, which is looking good in the 50s, and then even warmer, could be well into the 60s to near 70 if all works out just so early next week. So is the first 7, 8, 9, 10 days of April typically in New Hampshire, right? A chance of a little wet snow and 70 degrees all wrapped up in a few days.
In 1 week. And really all in a day. I mean, you've got wet snow and then temperatures almost to the 60s
Yeah,
tomorrow.
we could be up near 60. So any little coating we get, going to melt away quickly.
All right, thanks, Mike.
Those April showers to get the May flowers, and just a handful of games remain for the Bruins before the playoffs start.
Jamie will take us to one of them coming up next.